Five years ago, if you asked anyone in Vietnam what the best resort in Phu Quoc was, they'd tell you the Salinda. Does that still ring true? The Salinda is conveniently located halfway between the airport and the center of town, around a 10-minute drive from both. Originally opened in 2014, the Salinda, which means moonlight in Latin, was without a doubt ahead of the curve. The first time I ever visited Salinda was back in 2015, when the island was on the brink of starting a massive development campaign. 6 years later though, by my count, there's 23 other 5-star resorts on the island, with many more on the way. This I cannot stress enough. If in 2025 there were 60 5-star resorts on the island, I wouldn't be surprised one bit. The entrance to the lobby is a bit unique in that it's elevated above the spa, and the cars drive up and under the hotel itself. I do think their welcome drink is a bit outdated though. I have had some spectacular welcome drinks, sometimes with multiple drinks, such as at the Caravel Hotel. Check out that video in the link above. But here, there was no explanation of what they were. They could have been Kool-Aid for all I knew. The reception area is bright and open air. Besides moving the reception desks, not much has changed here in the past years. But like all of the fixtures and facilities at Salinda, they really have been impeccably maintained. Above us is where the majority of the 121 accommodations are, including all of the standard rooms and suites. The villas are between this building and the pool area, which we'll take a look at a little bit later. The resort has a small sundries boutique with stairs leading down to the High Note, the primary bar and lounge for the property. This is where they regularly feature live music, and when the weather's good, they can open the doors to access the patios outside. Speaking of good weather, for all of southern Vietnam, basically anything south of Saigon, December through April are the best months to visit. During this time of year, you'll rarely see a drop of rain and the seas will be calm. If you visit later in the summer though, expect windy and rainy days with much rougher seas. While Salinda prides itself on its sustainability programs, the part of the program that surely stands out the most is the fact that 70% of their property is dedicated to growing plants and trees, with over 100 varieties on offer. I'd say that there's a very thin line between lush and overgrown, but they seem to be keeping themselves firmly on the good side of that line. This elevated walkway will take us towards the villas and then the pool and beach area. Just a quick aside, if you enjoy hotel reviews and want to continue to see more of them, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. It's difficult to break through as a new channel on YouTube, but every like and subscription truly does help us continue to create more content. On the left and right sides of us are the resort's villas. Speaking about the villas, I do want to talk about one thing that might be a downside to the Salinda. Almost every part of the hotel and service is spot on, but the design, actually more so the layout of the property, does seem a bit dated compared to all of the new properties throughout Vietnam. In the past 5 years, there's been a huge change in hotels being built in the country. Mainly, there's now a major focus on detached 1, 2, and 3 bedroom villas. Some with private pools, some with ocean views, some with their own private gardens. Of course, there are still some huge resorts being built on the island and in the country. But even these big box resorts all now offer private villas or cottages, a benefit, I guess, of not being ahead of the curve. That being said, don't get me wrong. I think the Salinda is a beautiful, small resort with great food and facilities. But I'm just thinking about 5 years down the line. How will it compare? I'd imagine sometime in the future, Salinda will have a major renovation and either go ultra luxe or all suite or something like that to truly distinguish itself from what will be hundreds of other hotels. Here we are now at the resort's beautiful pool. The 30-meter pool is flanked on one side by the pool bar and restaurant, where I had dinner, and the activity center on the opposite side. The views of the beach, the sunset, and water are breathtaking from here. The beach is not massive, but at 100 meters wide, it does the job well and is well maintained and clean with bar service also available. It might seem like an odd comment to make, but I give the hotel credit for having just enough Instagram spots throughout the property without taking it too far like so many resorts do nowadays. Now it's time to take a look at my room during my stay, which was a garden view villa. The room is spacious and has a convenient layout, especially if you want to get some work done. The multiple welcome treats were appreciated, especially since they came with a card explaining all of them. While not all of the restaurants were open due to COVID, normally they have a Vietnamese, Italian, and Indian restaurant, and those are the cuisines represented in the treats. There was plenty of closet space available, but more importantly, I really appreciate the high standards Salinda's has kept over the years, offering TWG teas and Nespresso. Also, nice to see them, and many other hotels these days, offer reasonably priced spirits in the room that don't come in tiny plastic bottles. Without a doubt, the highlight of the bedroom area though is the bed itself. First of all, the bed is massive. I believe it's 2 double beds pushed together to make a super king. And secondly, 6 years ago, I discreetly peeked under the sheets to see what mattress and topper they were using so I could buy it for my own house. And I'm very happy that they continue to have the same super plush and comfortable beds. And then there's the nicely sized bathroom. It's outfitted exactly how you'd expect. I'll just make 2 notes. First, it's nice that they offer 6 bottles of water in the room, but especially with their sustainability programs, I think it's time to get on board with glass bottles. Secondly, and this is something that I'm not going to hold against them, but liquid soap does expire. Sometimes it's the soap itself that can go off, and sometimes it's because of the container that it's in. Either way though, if you're traveling during COVID, when the bulk soap containers may have been sitting for a while, smell the soap before you use it. This is the 3rd time this year that it's happened to me. All 3 times it had a pungent, burning rubber odor. The exterior garden area is nice, but to be honest, I didn't spend too much time here. First, the pool is too beautiful, and plus the area is not 100% private. If you're eagle-eyed, you'll notice a staff member walking by as I pan around at the end of the shot. The other great thing about visiting this time of year is the sun is perfectly aligned to give you a spectacular sunset. One note about the airport. As a crow flies, the airport is around 1,300 meters down the beach from the resort. So there is definitely aircraft noise throughout the day. For me, I love plane spotting, so to me it's actually a benefit. But some may be bothered, as especially before COVID, the airport was becoming really busy. When I was staying at the resort, the only restaurant open for dinner was poolside, but the atmosphere was absolutely top-notch. Take note of traveling during COVID though, the menu, it's not super limited, but it's just kind of one note. Nothing really jumped off the menu at me. The next morning, it was time for breakfast in the beautiful Salinda Restaurant. But this wasn't just any breakfast. Years ago, this breakfast buffet used to be known as the best on the island. And I'd agree from my previous stays. But the question is, was it still just as good? Well, the answer is yes. It was as good as it used to be, relatively speaking. If this was the spread pre-COVID, I'd be a little disappointed, but given the low occupancy, I was more than happy with what was on offer. The spread was a mix of Western, Vietnamese, and Chinese hot and cold dishes, as it has always been before. And finally, there was also a cook-to-order station for noodle soups and eggs. Of course, guests can choose to sit inside or outside, and of course, outside was my choice. It was also the first time that I've ever seen a slice of lime on poached eggs, but the quasi-eggs Benedict were definitely tasty. When not using the elevated path from the lobby, this is the walkway leading from the main building to the beach and pool area. Like every other area, the landscaping is well grown in and kept well. The last area left to explore is the Mango Garden, which had a beautiful lotus pond as its centerpiece. On each side was a small lounge area. As we're adjacent to the banquet rooms, I assume this outdoor area is primarily used for receptions and cocktail hours. One note, Salinda does of course have a spa, but due to COVID regulations at the time of filming, it's not included in this review. Surrounding the Mango Garden is a rotating art gallery featuring works from local Vietnamese artists. All of the prints and paintings are also available for purchase as well. Last but not least, I'll feature their room service for a second, which has always been great and super quick as well. As we watch this flight to Saigon, I want to thank you for watching this review and genuinely hope that you found it useful. If you have, please remember to like this video and subscribe for many more reviews to come. Stay tuned for the flip-flop score.